All right, Neil, I've heard you say many times over the years, and Joe used to say it, you're never as good as you look when you win, you're never as bad as you look when you lose. Penn State came into this game 4-0, really was not a typical 4-0 team, and we saw why today.
Yeah, I think that saying might be the exception today. They're pretty bad today. I think and they not only lost, but I think they exposed a lot of issues that they're going to have to address. It's a good thing that they have one bye week. It may be a good thing that they have 2 bye weeks. They may be able to look at, I don't know what kind of personnel they have as far as whether they can move a player or 2 and get them coached up to play the line, but clearly they're not able to block for the run. They're going to have trouble keeping Hackenberg upright into November. I mean, there were a lot of things today that this added up to more than one loss.
Yeah, this was a winnable game. This Northwestern team, they put up 14 in the first quarter, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, but the defense got some control over it for the next couple of quarters. Neil, when your offensive line really can't do anything, and this was Northwestern, this wasn't, even Michigan has a good defensive front, Ohio State after that. When your offensive line can't get any level of control against the Northwestern team, that's pretty troubling.
Yeah, it was, and Hackenberg took a lot of shots. I actually thought that there were times when Hackenberg had a fair amount of time and probably needed to throw it away a couple more times, kind of recalculate, rather than taking the physical beating that he was taking. Not sure he was the same player after the big shot that the kid from Northwestern. Thankfully, that kid looks like he's going to be okay. Really scary moment, puts a lot of things in perspective about the game and life. But you know, Northwestern's secondary did a great job. It truly did. I mean, there were times that Hackenberg had enough time.
Okay, but that said, like 48-7 over UMass, consider the opponent. This was a Northwestern team that had been 1-9 in its last 10 games going into beating Western Illinois last week. So to lose 29-6 at home in front of 100,000 people to this Northwestern team, you know, James Franklin kept saying, we will fix it, we will fix it. There are a lot of things to fix.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be able to fix it, you know, this week or maybe next week. I think you're talking about program-wise, they're going to fix it. At least get it together for November. They could have a tough October here. You know, even though Michigan's struggling, it's not going to be an easy game. There's no reason to think that this team has any confidence right now. Just a lot of their bread and butter. They used to be able to hand the ball to Zwinak and he'd run downhill. Today, Hackenberg was really off. You know, and then the defense eventually broke down. The special teams, a lot of problems with the special teams. Again, today, that's the second kick block, you know, field goal that they've had blocked. So there were a lot of things that, the one thing he came out with that I thought was kind of interesting, and it looked it, that they weren't ready to play.
Right.
And I think that, you know, I appreciate his honesty in that, because it did not look like a team that had a lot of fire today.
All right, well, you know, we all kind of get caught up in football. When you win a game, you start to feel good. The NFL is kind of like this, where the NFL, so many teams are so even that, you know, anything can happen on a given week. College football is a lot different, because college football, you can get exposed for your warts very quickly, and then other teams can really pick up on those from week to week to week. Rutgers, they struggled. Obviously, UCF, they struggled. Even Akron, they struggled. Yeah. But what do you think other teams around this league are going to look at Penn State with this offensive line, the issues, and say, you know what, we can do a lot of things against them?
Absolutely, and you know, I just think it's going to be a long uphill climb right now. You know, we were talking about potentially 6-0 in one game, and I know that's, you know, the overreaction to wins and losses. But I mean, you start to look at the schedule, and I know I picked on him in our game day that this guy Will Walk said he kind of agreed with your 6-6 pick, and he didn't see, and he saw today as a win.
Yeah,
and he doesn't see that many other wins, and I said, you know, maybe you got to be a little more positive. But really, after today,
sure,
they have a lot to fix. There's no doubt about it, and you know, it was a little troubling that they didn't play with a little bit more passion today.
You got to figure Ohio State and Michigan State, those are losses. Indiana beat Missouri, but Maryland put a whooping on Indiana today. That Maryland game now looks a little different. Michigan, as we talked about earlier, has a good defensive line, so you know that could be trouble for Penn State's offensive line. It's funny how you go, okay, 6-6, 7-5, okay, maybe 9-3, 10-2, and now we're back to maybe 6-6, 7-5.
You know, it's some of the things. Hackenberg just appeared to be a little off early, you know, with his short hop and his, you know, that short passing game just wasn't there today, and I think usually it is going to be there, so that maybe something they can look at the tape and say, hey, those are plays that he typically makes. One thing I'd like to say is, I feel good for Northwestern. I mean, they've come in, it's a class coach and I think a class program. They get a kid that looked like he was really badly injured. They let it all hang out today. It did not look like a great call to fake the field goal, but they clearly were playing to win. They went after the punter. I mean, they made all kinds of attempts to really leave it all out there today, and they did.
One of two things will happen. Penn State will get a lot better in this next stretch where they've got 2 bye weeks in the next 3 weeks, or this could actually go the other way and they could actually show some rust against Michigan and Ohio State. And that's the great thing about sports is we won't know until we show up to the big house in a couple weeks.
Take a week off.
All right. For Neil Rudel, Cory Geiger, Kristen Nelson on our video. Thanks for tuning in.